Hey everyone, it's your girl Maddie here, aka Beavermosh, and today I'm joined by Derek of Anthrodynia. Am I saying that correctly?
It's Anthrodynia, so you're pretty close.
Okay. Um, Before we get into anything, before I hit record, I saw you sipping on something, and I gotta ask, what are we sipping on right now?
I made a Negroni right before this.
Hell yeah! I I've been sober for about 3 years now, but that was one of my drinks of choice before I made it. So it's I love the orange peel in it. It's simple but good.
It's a great drink.
Yeah. Well, this new record, first of all, it's your debut record, so congratulations on that. But
Thank you very much.
I uh I at least have observed, I've seen a few different places on the metal blogosphere give it some coverage, and that must feel really good. I mean, what has been your reaction to the response of it?
I am very humbled that people like it. It's a project that came together pretty quick with a friend of mine that we just were having a lot of fun doing, and the fact that people are enjoying it and saying nice things is really all you can ask for.
Yeah, and you both have experience with other bands. This is not your first metal band, but
That's
what
right.
what, what is at least what is your two backgrounds in metal? If you just give me like a brief synopsis.
So I've been in a death thrash band for 20 years called the Grime Exenius. And Darrell, he's been in more bands on the kind of hardcore punk side of things.
Yeah.
We were in a stoner doom band together once, like 15 years ago. And we're also in like a crust punk band called Falsehood. That band's been around since 2010. I've been in that band for 10 years. Darrell's been in it for 15.
Yeah, it was the Stoner Doom. I'm on your Metal Archives page. Was it Cygnus?
That's right. And that's with my brother on drums.
Hell yeah. Well, so none of those other projects are what you make now, which is Death Doom. Why Death Doom?
Well, I've been a fan of Death Doom about as long as I've been listening to death metal, so since high school.
Yeah.
And Darrell started to get into bands like Spectral Voice, kind of near the end. Like I remember him mentioning to me this around the holidays of 2023, end of the year. And he's like, "Do you want to make a band like doing this stuff?" And I was like, "Absolutely. This is right up my alley. Like I'd love to try it." The grime has kind of dipped our toes in it a little bit. Like on every album, there's usually one or two songs that's on the doomier side of things, but it's really cool just like actually going, fully into it for this band.
Yeah. And you say, you are a fan of Death Doom. When I think of Death Doom, I think there are like two different brands of Death Doom. There's the like My Dying Bride, Paradise Lost, like more like gothic type of Death
Yeah,
Doom. And then there's the Spectral Voice or Disembowelment, which is just like slow death metal.
yeah,
Do you find yourself, favoring one another? I think your band kind of favors one of their in your sound, but
yeah. We're definitely more on like the this is death doom, like slow, not really melodic. That being said, like I love Paradise Lost,
yeah,
Catatonia. Like if I can write some more guitar like me kind of stuff in that vein, that's great. Because like I love goth music too, so
yeah,
it would, if the song is appropriate, sure, like maybe we can incorporate some of that. But yeah, we definitely lean more towards the uh more heavy, punishing, brutal kind of side, I guess.
I was the first track on the record. I was very intrigued by the song title because it seems more philosophical than just straight death gore. The thing it's like severed from mundanity. What are you trying to say there?
Um, I can't speak too much on this specific song's lyrics because that's our drummer wrote those ones, but
Yeah,
it's just more like separating yourself from just the mundanity of life, like just finding a purpose, I guess.
yeah. Cool, simple, but um, you're a duo. What is the I what are the advantages of doing a project with just the two of you?
A lot easier to write.
Yeah.
Um, just like I don't have to teach anyone else the riffs for the most part. So yeah, like it is a lot easier to write and record. Like so much to the point that like our second LP is already almost done. Like I
Okay.
just have to we just have to do a few more songs with vocals. Like that's how quick it is with this band.
Now, you don't really before this record, there's no other like EPs or demos at least officially out under the Anthrodynia name. How did you pitch this Nameless Graves and then have them put them out?
I've known the two guys, Brandon and Andrew, for like 10 years. We're in
Okay.
a band called Azath together. So it was kind of just like I sent it to them just like as a friend thing. Like I wasn't looking for a label, but they did
Yeah.
offer. And then it just so happened that like a week later, the label we were gonna work with kind of uh they said they couldn't do it until like 2026, which we finished the record in 2024, so it would be nice to just ride our momentum. And
Yeah.
that's basically how that went down.
I mean, you're 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 getting to share a label with some pretty awesome band. I mean, you have Ultra of Gore, you have uh Plague Bear and Obscene. You must be really happy being on this label.
Oh yeah, I've worked with Nameless Grave before. They did a tape issue of one of the Grimes albums when they were newer.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just they got a cool roster. And yeah, like as soon as they offered and said they'd like to do the album, we were all over that.
I know you've done some like one-off, like I know you've done like a hometown kind of record release show or whatever, but like do you plan on making this a live band? Would that require adding some more musicians to the roster if that was the case?
We do have two live members already, actually.
Okay.
One of them is Frankie, who plays in Falsehood and McGrime with us, and then the other is a friend, Alex, who is in a punk band called the Real Sickies, but they're in some metal bands too. Um, so we played one live show earlier this year. We have consciously not wanted to play a lot of live shows. Darrell just became a father in the spring, so that kind
Hmm.
of requires a little more of his attention for the time being.
Yeah.
That being said, we're playing a festival in Edmonton on Labor Day weekend, and we have some other plans coming up too. So when we can, we will, but we're kind of a little more focused on being a studio band at this point.
Yeah, and you said you already finished another record. Like
That's right.
how do you stay so prolific?
Honestly, I've just always kind of been like this. It's just
Yeah.
I want to be creating something. And yeah, like I guess it had been like a couple years since I'd really written any metal. Like I've been focusing more on like engineering stuff. So when the opportunity presented itself to do this band, like it just like, the creativity was really flowing.
And you yourself you self mixed this, right? You self produced it.
That's right.
Do you have a preference on being do you see yourself as no, I am a musician or I'm a producer? Some people like seeing themselves as kind of one or the other. Do you have a kind of where do you see your like home?
I'm definitely a musician first and foremost.
Yeah.
The sound engineering and production just kind of came out of the need of doing it myself.
Yeah.
Um, but I had a pretty like the first Big Grime album that we did, like we recorded that at the end of 2009 was just not a very great experience. And we had done some previous stuff ourselves, like our drummer in Big Grime Lee kind of had a handle on that. But yeah, after doing our first album, it was just kind of like, oh, this sucks. Like, I want to get into this myself, not shell
Yeah.
out a lot of money. Um, and then, of course, for 10 years, you just kind of suck. So you kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like a disservice for a little bit. But I don't know, the last like 5 years, I felt a little more confident about the work I've been doing. Um, so I do really enjoy that kind of stuff because there are times where I'm not a musician, where I am just strictly recording a band, or producing it or mixing it or whatever the case I've been hired for, and I really like doing that too. So to kind of do both is really cool because I like kind of know what I want and I know how to get there. I think at this point.
Yeah, I that's cool to hear your perspective on it. I I think metal as a genre is really good at this, maybe more than some other genres, but there's a lot of understanding of that like the person behind the boards is also such a vital part of the sound and what the final product is. It's
100%.
I mean, you think of those great old school Tampa Bay death metal records and just having one guy who just understood it. I don't know if we'd ever have death metal if it wasn't for like, the production work behind it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Like certain engineers have this kind of sound that works for a genre, and like Scott Burns at More Sound's a great example. And
Yeah,
then of course you have like Sunlight Studio in Sweden, that had like a pretty renowned sound too. So plenty of extreme bands would go to these guys just because they had that expertise. And yeah, I mean, uh, it's like yeah, it's really cool. Like I hope I can kind of get that status here.
yeah. You earlier in this interview, you mentioned, I think both of you being involved in some more like punk hardcore bands. I
That's
don't
right.
personally, when I listen to the record, I've listened to it a couple times now. I don't hear any punk, but does that come out in your music? Do you think is that an influence in this project?
Not sonically speaking, I would
Yeah,
say. Um, that's kind of like a conscious thing, for sure. Like it just doesn't really seem to fit. I think there's
sure,
maybe one song on the next record that has like quite a lot of autopsy influence in it, so like it kind of creeps through there.
sure.
But I think just more so in like our approach of just like self-recording and kind of like being like DIY bands for a while, just kind of that's if there's any punk influence in the band, it's more on that side.
Of course. Yeah, no. It seems like when you put this record together, you had a big focus on like atmosphere. Would I be correct on that? Like, creating these very ethereal but oppressive soundscapes, if I would describe it.
Yeah, I really wanted to have some really like atmospheric, ethereal kind of sounding leads, but I didn't want to lose the riff. I
Sure.
wanted the riff to be really prominent and like not dial back anything because I wanted to put a lead on it. Like uh I guess it's kind of a weird thing, but um yeah, like we just wanted to have like a good balance of heavy and atmospheric and catchy kind of stuff.
Yeah, I have heard Doom records where that has happened, where the band one is so desperate to have, these big melodic moments. And when a big melodic moment happens, it can be great. But when it's forced like that, where you lose the muscle behind it, it weakens the record in a lot of cases.
Yeah, like or like when you hear like certain songs where it's like very clearly like, oh, we wrote this riff for the solo part, and it's just like kind of like I'm not very inspired chord progression or something.
Mhm.
Is so, like I don't write music like that, so to me like the a lot of those like leads kind of come after, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
We'll have like the parts, like all the riffs written, and then it will kind of just be like, yeah, I think this will be an appropriate part to put something over, rather than I wrote something very simple to kind of like as a I don't know. Yeah.
a band I had on the show about a year ago. But I think one of the best examples of a modern band that knows how to inject melody, but um, I don't know how familiar you are with them, but a band that knows how to inject melody into something very, very heavy and riff oriented would be like a band like Mother of Graves.
I'm not familiar with them.
Yeah, I would check them out. One of their record, they are on Profound Lore. Their
Okay.
their record that came out last year, The Paragraph of Absence, was one of my favorites of the year. So you want some good, like more melodic, kind of more on the gothic side, but still very heavy death doom. They're a band I would definitely put on your radar. And for everyone watching at home, definitely.
Very cool. Yeah, I'll check that out. Profound Lore is generally pretty trustworthy.
Yeah. Um I see your shelf behind you. How
Yes.
long have you been collecting?
Well, probably since I was like 15, so yeah, 21 years.
Yeah.
I've got about 1,000 records now. So
Damn.
yeah,
I
it's
I had to downsize a while back, but I think I was close to that at one point, but I'll get it back up there at some point. But
yeah.
yeah. Um I'm just kind of looking at your backdrop here. I like the art behind you. I is that a do we have a tape deck here? Or no, that's just a stereo receiver.
That's my stereo. There is a tape deck on it. It doesn't work anymore,
Okay.
unfortunately. Yeah.
Well, besides making metal, engineering records, um, what is some of Anthrodynia's hobbies? Are you gamers? Are you readers? What's the deal there?
Both of us are quite into basketball. We're both
Okay.
yeah, we used to live together and we just started watching basketballs, something we bonded over. I used to watch it in the 90s and like yeah, one of like our live members is also a big NBA fan. So that's something we get pretty into during the season. Uh what else? I like cocktails quite a lot and uh cooking like is really fun, although I don't do it as much as I used to because I'm always so busy.
Yeah.
uh yeah, those are kind of like main things I do. Yeah, and like just being a degenerate is a huge hobby of mine.
Is basketball? Because I know, I mean, the NBA is mainly based in the States. Is basketball popular in Canada?
You know what? It's surprisingly popular now. Like especially because the Raptors won a title in 2019. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of like gained a lot of new fans up here. Like I have enough friends here that like we could have a pretty good party watching like a playoff game. You know what I mean? Uh
Sure.
so it's kind of interesting that like yeah, it has taken hold. Like I used to play in rec leagues in my late 20s.
Hmm.
Before, yeah. So there's like enough interest in that kind of stuff here. It's kind of cool.
I think obviously as someone in the States thinking of up north, people just assume that hockey is what Canada does in terms of sports.
Yeah. And I mean, like, hockey is king here. Like, I'm in Edmonton here, which, that's Oilers country.
Yeah.
And it's very apparent. Like, we just had like our big finals run twice in a row where we lost. But
Yeah.
like, the city is just like, it's crazy. The atmosphere is unrivaled. Like, it's so cool, actually. Like, I'm not really a big hockey fan, but you get together at playoff time with people, and it's a cool thing for community. Why not? Like, especially like if you're a degenerate like me and you like to drink, like it's
Yeah.
just an excuse to like hang out with your buds. But it's fun.
I I live in Minnesota, so we have the
Oh
wild.
yeah, yeah.
They're
You guys are a lot like Canada, like at least this Canada.
yeah, no, it's Diet Canada. But
Yeah,
the NHL team is aggressively average. You know, they're just like in the middle of the pack
yeah.
every single year.
That's the Minnesota sports curse.
Yeah, I think they're actually speaking of Minnesota and its relation to Canada, I think there are actually parts of Minnesota that are further north in parts of Canada. Like I think some of Canada like dips down or something.
There's
I
a
sometimes
there's a
yeah.
little jut that goes up. That's Minnesota, right by one of the Great Lakes there.
Yeah. Yeah. Um yeah. if there's any other Canadians watching here and I piss you off by saying I'm a budget Canadian, I'm sorry.
It's 100% true. Like we've played, like the Grime has played Minnesota 3 times, and it doesn't feel like we've left. Like I often question, like, we crossed the border because there's people like in the parking lot shotgunning beers, and
Yeah,
just the kind of like dialect, like people are like, oh fuck yeah, bud. It's like that's what we talk here, Like
yeah.
it's really, it's funny. Like it feels like home.
What is the metal scene in Edmonton like?
It's really cool. Like the size of city we are, like I think we're like about the same size as like Oklahoma City, just to like give you an idea. So like
Sure.
1.4 million. Um, so there's kind of like a city this size kind of has like some like fragments. So like there's kind of like some different metal scenes. The
Yeah,
one that I'm mostly involved in kind of has a lot of crossover with like the harder side of punk, like say like DB and Crust kind of stuff.
yeah.
But there's like a good variety of bands. There's like a few death metal bands here right now that really are cool. One's called Feeding, who I'm working on their full length right now for them.
You said
They're
feeding.
Feeding, and then you got
Okay.
there's Autolysis, which is like more like kind of like more grindy death metal. They're awesome. And then yeah, then we have like some kind of like another band that I'm working on an album right now. It's called Messiah Later. They're kind of like more of like a death thrash kind of band. Like yeah, there's quite a lot of cool stuff here. And in terms of the general music scene, like you can think of like a genre, and there's generally one or two bands that are doing it really well. So it's really diverse, and especially now, like I'm in my mid 30s. There's a lot of like
Same.
kind of like we're all that age where we've been like doing music or bands for a while. So there's like a lot of like more intermingling than before. Like I've made new friends in my 30s that I could have very well been friends with if I was in a different scene when I was a teenager, right? Like it's just really
Mm.
funny. Like, we just have lots in common, and like some of these people like have made, you know, different style bands that dip into metal or whatever. And yeah, it's just a really creative community.
So you're talking about other metal scenes within Edmonton. You've talked about your experience with death metal and some thrash and some hardcore. Thinking about other metal genres that maybe in Edmonton or maybe you enjoy. Are you a black metal fan?
I am not really a black metal fan.
Yeah.
Just I find there's a lot of just people I don't like tend to like. Like that being said, like I do like some black metal bands, of course, and there's exceptions to the rule. Like I do like some like more metal-y stuff.
Oh yeah.
But there's some of my bandmates in the grime have a band called Revelator that's like kind of a black death thrash kind of thing that's really cool. So there is some like black metal here, and then of course like we have Revenge, who are like the long like standing big band from here. And back in the 90s there was, and like 2000s there was quite a lot of other cool bands like Sacramentary Abolishment, uh, who became Axis of Advance, Rights of Thy Day Gringold. So like yeah, there's like some pretty cool like black metal bands out of here for sure. I just I just don't really like fuck with this genre that much, just because like just as like fucking losers, really.
Oh, what was that again? I'm sorry.
Just like there's some real losers out
Yeah.
there that associate with it, and I don't have time for that. Like, people that are like down with like Nazi shit, like just
Well,
get fucked right off.
yeah, 100%.
Obviously,
It is a shame that that has,
it sucks. I have to say it.
yeah, creeped into metal at all, not just black metal, but yeah, it really when you think of black metal and what it's supposed to stand for, and this like kind of rebellion and um also the anti-religion aspect, it makes no sense to like join a fascist cause, which is often very much tied to religion and keeping
that's
power,
a hundred
which is
percent
like the
true.
least rebellious thing you could possibly do.
It's so funny when you see like the like religious like white Christian values be the same as like some of these black metal guys' values, like, and they're all like these conservative voters and just like really repressive. Like it's an odd thing to see. Like it's like, did you like everything just flew over their head? I don't know. Bunch of cool.
Let's dig into your taste more. What about I don't know. I'll throw a curveball. And you fuck with power metal at all?
I did a little bit in my youth, like early Blind Guardian's pretty cool. Early Fates Warning I also enjoy, but
Yeah.
um yeah, not really now. Like in terms of metal, like I like death metal, thrash, doom, um and like grindcore, which of course like kind of blends into the punk. Those are kind of more my areas of
Yeah.
metal.
Do you like when you talk Doom, are you mainly kind of the more death Doom, or do you fuck around with like more of the traditional stuff? Are you throwing on a Candlemass record here and there?
Oh yeah, like I love Epicus, Doomicus, Metallicus, like that's classic album. Saint Vitus,
Yeah.
Pentagram, like I love that kind of stuff. And then yeah, like I mentioned, I used to be in like more of a stoner band with some of the guys here, and so like Electric Wizard, Sleep, like so I like quite a variety of doom, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Um, Funeral Doom?
A little bit. Of course, like Evoking, I saw they just put out a new single. I got to check that out. I've been a fan
Mm-hmm.
of them for a while. And Esoteric are classics.
Of
We
course.
actually did a few dates with Mournful Congregation, like with the Grime, back in like 2014 on the East Coast, and that was pretty cool.
I recently saw a Mournful Congregation, and I got to say they put on one hell of an emotional show.
Yeah, yeah. It
It's
was quite a contrast playing with them. This is like my death thrash band playing with this. They were really cool. We got along really well just because they're Australian, we're Canadian, we're in the States, which is foreign to both of us.
So a question I got to ask you, because like in terms of like any doom metal, but you probably get this idea that like, well, it's doom metal, it's slow, it must be easier to play than other metal genres, and you probably have a lot of response to that. What would you say to that?
Sometimes playing slower is harder than it seems,
Yeah,
especially when you're trying to play with other people and you're trying to keep time.
right.
Um, I've had no problems, of course. Like Darrell and I, we've been in a lot of bands together, so this is no problem. But uh, yeah, some people like they just don't know how to feel out those slower tempos, and it's just a matter of like knowing what to count in between.
Yeah. I think a great doom band knows how to weaponize silence, like how to make the in between each note feel as powerful as the note itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think of like that last Spectral Voice record album that came out last year. And there's a
Great.
lot of
That was one of my favorite ones last year, by the
yeah,
way.
there's a lot of time in that record where really nothing is happening, but it's so big because they know how to command that waiting period in between kind of thing dynamics happening.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Um, and yeah, but like what they at least do is there is a build up to something,
Yeah.
and I think that's like really important when you're playing parts that are so slow and dismal like that. You need that kind of place to go, I guess.
Yeah, it's like I
Like
think
have you ever seen like a drony band before that just like I'm not really a drone fan. Darrell is, but that aside from that, um, but yeah, just some like really slower bands where like it just feels like they never reach that plateau of where they could go with the atmosphere they're building. That always really bums me out.
yeah, and so you think of a band like Sun, who you could tell a talented band that does drone versus just a band like you described that kind of meanders, like playing slow, playing very long note stuff. To have it feel like it has a trajectory is very
It's
difficult.
it's tough, and I mean like we
Yeah.
don't really. I don't think we really like get into too funeral doom territory. Um, Maybe on the next record, there's a couple parts that do get a little minimal,
Yeah.
but that's just like the kind of like way I write music and what I want to hear. I just don't think I have like the attention for that. Like I always have to change stuff up after like about four repeats, whether it's like adding in another layer or just changing the riff.
Yeah. And that might also be part of the talent of doom metal is like how do you find the balance of being like creating these more repetitive parts that are like entrancing that keep your attention, but also like being diverse and switching it up. Like there has to be a sweet spot there.
Yeah. And I really think like the key, like if you do want to kind of like keep pedaling on a part, like you kind of have to add some layers in, like whether it's like a lead or like throw in a flanger, something like that, just to like add some interest to it. Like
Yeah.
even if you like listen to like some basic electronic music, like that's kind of the idea there, right? Where like you have a beat and maybe like a synth, and then like they add in like some other percussion, and like you see the layers build, and then they'll take parts out, and that's kind of what kind of keeps that interesting. And I feel like it's the middle song on the record. It's called Cathartic Dissemination. I've never really written anything like that before. Like we purposely were like, yeah, let's write like kind of an interlude instrumental song, and it somehow came out to be 7 minutes, and it's only two riffs.
Yeah.
But like every four repetitions, we're doing something to it, whether we're switching to distortion or, like I said, adding like an effect or another layer just to keep things interesting. Like in terms of that, like that's my approach anyway.
You mentioned electronic, and I think it's so interesting. The more I talk to metalheads, the more I find that there is a crossover in fan bases with like like more like I don't know like techno or even house music and metal, and you even like are hearing it in the music more. I mean, I think a great example of that would be the latest Blood Incantation record, where
Yeah,
you find a way to blend synths or drum machines or just electronic elements in general into a metal track, and it seems to be embraced by the fan base.
yeah. And I mean, electronic music is just another kind of underground music that was made by people that weren't behind giant labels. Like it was just people expressing themselves in the way that they could with the technology they had. My brother, like who used to be in Cygnus with me, he's more of like an electronic guy now. So
Yeah.
he's kind of got me into some artists. I don't like, and like yeah, like I'll go like I'll see him play and stuff. I don't listen to like a ton of electronic, but like that's kind of something more that's like been part of my 30s. So like yeah, like I'm thinking of stuff like I really like Meat Beat Manifesto, for example, and maybe some more like stuff on the industrial side. Like I've really been into like Frontline Assembly lately.
Yeah.
Um, Early Ministry, of course, classic. Like just saw them a few months ago playing like the early like synth wave kind of stuff and like early industrial stuff. That was really cool.
Not the same type of electronic, but I do love me some dungeon synth.
You
But
know what? I've never really got into like any of that. Although my buddy, a couple of friends of mine did a Dungeon Synth album that's like pretty cool.
there's actually a bar here in Minneapolis where my best friend and I go once a month, and they have a dungeon synth night. It's so random, but it's so cool.
I think they do that in Vancouver too. That's kind of funny.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Well, Derek, that was about all I had for you. But before I let you go, I do want to give the floor to you to tell everyone know where they can find your music, where they can anything you want to plug. You want to plug your favorite Mexican restaurant? Go for it. I don't care. It's the floor is yours.
um, Hey, well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
My name once again is Derek. I play in a death doom band from Edmonton, Canada called Anthrodynia. We just put out an album on Nameless Grave Records. It's out now. It just came out on Friday, August 15th. You can grab it from Nameless Grave on their website or their Bandcamp. If you're in Canada, go to Bandcamp and you'll order it right from us. Uh, I also play in a band called the Grime Extremists. We put a 12-inch out earlier this year. That's just an EP. It's got a bunch of covers on it, like Carcass, Bowl Thrower, and Entombed. So if you're into that stuff, check that out. We have a band camp. And the best Mexican restaurant in Edmonton is probably Luna. I was just there last week. Authentic, it's people from like Mexicans like making the food. So this isn't some like whitewash shit. So if you're ever in Edmonton, that's where you're gonna go. Anyway, thanks again. Really appreciate it.
You heard it here. Check out Unspeakable Horrors Emanating from Within. I highly recommend it from Anthrodynia. Thank you to my patrons as always for keeping the show running. My name is Maddie, aka Beaver Mosh. Keep it metal. Bye.